season with Sky Bet. That's betting better.
Well, welcome back to Matchday Live here on Fox's Hub at full time, where it finished. Ipswich 1, Leicester 1. The cruelest of double deflections, robbing Leicester there of all 3 points. Probably and definitely should have been a penalty in the second half for Leicester as well at 1-0. We'll get to that and everything else in the company of Matt Elliott and Jerry Taggart here in the studio, and Ewan Roberts as well, who is at Portman Road. We'll start with you two guys, though, in here with me. And yeah, disappointing to take it in the manner that it's come, but overall, Leicester still probably, on the face of it, got to be happy with the point. Just in the context of how it came, maybe not.
Yeah, and that's the only thing you can go off. I think, all right, you could say that before the game, you know what, would take a point to a team that averaged 3 goals, almost 3 goals a game at home. Only been beaten once all season there, only drawn once all season there, and won the rest of them. But when you've worked that hard as a team to get over the line, and something like that happens at the end, there's no worse feeling. And it doesn't matter whether it's to concede a goal for a draw. Yeah, so there is a little bit to cling on to there, but the manner in which is conceded will be very, very hard to take for those players on the pitch, because they give a lot there tonight. Well, they give everything there tonight to try and cling on to that. And fair play to Ipswich for coming back at them in the second half. Leicester just couldn't get into their stride somewhat. But, it looked like they'd just done enough to stay in control of that game and they get over the line with the 3 points.
Yeah, it looked like they withstood the pressure, didn't it? The key part of the game in that second half. You felt Ipswich were going to improve in the second 45, and that proved to be the case as well. But Leicester looked, I don't know, it's probably always in the balance, but it looked solid enough. I didn't feel like Ipswich were going to score.
Yeah.
Even though it was mighty close a few times. It was last-ditch block or a save from Hermanson, although there weren't that many. But it was unorthodox defending from Leicester, but it was effective one way or another, whoever it was. It wasn't just the back four, it was midfield all chipping in and making blocks as well. And I thought maybe there were signs that it was just about running out of steam, and then Leicester sort of got to grips with the game the last 15 minutes or so without being that creative themselves. But you thought, do you know what, looks like they're going to see it out. But that goal just came out the blue, really, didn't it? From a nothing situation, really. Cassidy allowing Morsey to waltz past him too easy, really. And then the double misfortune was obviously galling. But as you say, Dan, overall, you look at it, I don't think Maresca will be too critical of anyone there. They put in a good shift. They've had a lot of games in a short period of time. Similar players, bodies that have been performing game in, game out. And all things considered, that's probably the most, Maresca uses that term quite regularly, but that's the most difficult game of the season. Leicester have faced and they come away with a draw. It's not.
Yeah. Ewan Roberts is there at Portman Road. How do you assess that?
Well, if you see the reaction of the two sets of players at the final whistle and the supporters, you'd have thought Ipswich had won the game. I think that sums him up. I think the Leicester players sort of walked off dejected with what happened in the final minutes. I mean, it's a cruel game at times. The lads there have said how we thought that Leicester had sort of seen the game out. Yeah, Ipswich had huffed and puffed, and maybe they've got a case that they deserved at least a point from the game. But Hermanson didn't have too much to do. That one shot from Hutchinson, I think it was, that shot from Connor Chaplin, sort of a couple of yards into the Leicester halfway. He's had to rush back into his penalty area and rescue the situation. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some vital blocks at times with shots going towards his goal, some great defending on other times, but it is a hard one to take when you've led a game for so long, for it to be taken away from you with the cruelest of deflections. No fault on Vestergaard. All he's tried to do is so many Leicester players did in that game, put their bodies on the line, put their bodies in front of shots, going goalwards, and it's taken the cruelest of deflections, and once it's come off him, there's absolutely nothing Hermansen can do.
Yeah, I mean, you two both, obviously, former central defenders at this football club, so I'm sure things like that happened to you in your career, and no one, absolutely nobody, is blaming Yannick Vestergaard at all for that.
I didn't even realise at first it come off him. I looked at it and thought that was strange. Because the angle with which Ricardo came and closed, I think it came off Ricardo as well, didn't it?
Yeah,
Double
deflection.
And I thought, how's that gone in on that side of the goal when Ricardo's come from what was the left-hand side of Morsey, and that was the reason why. Vestergaard. I mean, look at it. We saw it in the slow-mo, and you're thinking, possibly you could have ducked because it was going wide, I think. I might be wrong there, but ducked. But that's just being ultra harsh, really, because it happens in a flash of a nanosecond. He hardly had time to react, didn't it? Balls fizzed at him unexpectedly. Just happened to hit him on the right side of his head, not his left. If it left, it obviously goes wide, and just wasn't to be. But at the same time, to a very small degree, because it sounds like being overcritical, because Leicester play a certain way, and you can't be clever in hindsight. But there are some cases where I think Leicester not just get the ball up the field, but in the right manner, look forward at certain times and get them up the pitch. And maybe, that alleviates the pressure a little bit better, because they had the ball in and around the sort of 40-yard mark for a while, and it was bopping around, and they were sort of keeping possession just about. Eventually conceded it, and then Morsey got on the ball, but they could have been up on the halfway line by then, 20 seconds earlier. Might not have been in possession, but they're further up the pitch. But they play in a certain manner, don't they? And then what happened. But also a little individual bit from Cassidy, let him get round him too easy. But nitpicking wasn't to be. Overall, probably Ipswich, as Ewan says there, Ipswich have got a valid case to say, look, we probably deserved the point, and there's not too much to complain about, really.
Yeah, probably deserved it because of the pressure. But as he said, clear-cut chances, even the one from Connor Chaplin inside the half, that was going wide. That was well wide.
Well wide, yeah.
Well wide before Hermansen, sort of dives at it and palms it away to Wout fast. So yeah, and I think sometimes just adding on to the back of what Matt's just said, at times in that second half when you're under pressure, you can see some players trying to do play the percentage game. Let's say because they're under pressure, there's not a pass on, or if there's a pass on, the player receiving the ball is under a lot of pressure, probably too much pressure to receive it. So you go for a long pass over the top to Fatawu, and then you see other players that will still try and insist on playing that high pressure pass into somebody's feet, which isn't really on because of the way Enzo sets his team up and the way Enzo wants him to play. And you've seen a bit of that in the second half where these straight balls are going into the front man, or it's an inside square ball from out wide. It's being played back inside the pitch, being cut out, setting Ipswich on the counter attack instead of maybe just going, it's too tight here. I'm just going to turn around. I'm going to flick one over the top, and hopefully, Mavididi or Fatawi or Iheanacho or Daka is making a run to try and put somebody under pressure. And I know it's not perfect football, but you can't play perfect football for 95 minutes against a good team. Because good teams, there's two teams on the pitch. And if one team comes in at half-time and their manager having a word with them, they're obviously trying to sort something out, especially when they're losing the game. So in the second half, they try harder to get back into the game by putting more pressure on the opposition. That's where you have to read the signs of the game and say, for 10 minutes, we'll do this. And then hopefully that'll stop their pressure, and then we can start playing football again.
You got to play what's on as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Basically. But also,
but again, it's nitpicky because for the most part, Leicester were in control.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah.
Just about in that second five. But I thought also there were a few signs where Leicester just, and understandably so.
A little bit.
They were getting pressured by Ipswich because of the energy with which they went about their business second half, but also maybe the catalogue of games, maybe decision making. One or two players. Dewsbury Hall wasn't the force tonight that he has been of late, although he still had an impact on the game. Just that little bit of quality, but also holding up front play, front man like Daka. There was a switch with Iheanacho. Things threatened to change, but they didn't really. Leicester didn't get hold of the ball well enough in the second half. There's areas where they could have improved, but overall they gave a good account of themselves.
Yeah, Ewan, do you agree with that?
In the second half, and me and Chris, I mean, we were overjoyed by. I think there must have been about 40 passes from this Leicester side. They stretched the pitch. They had good width. Iheanacho pushed forward. The defenders dropped deeper, and they just popped the ball around for fun. And honestly, Dan, there must have been about 35, 45 passes. I just don't think they did enough of that in this second half, which sort of gave Ipswich that bit of, because they'll never give up. We've spoken about their home form and the belief and how the crowd get behind them here at Portman Road. And like you said, there was some questionable decisions from the people on the. I mean, there was one ball from, I think it was Patel towards the end of the game where he's defended for his team superbly tonight. I haven't seen him as much going forward, but the work that he did defensively was absolutely superb. He's tried to play one ball across his own 18-yard box and it's been cut out. I think it was a ball from Dewsbury Hall that he tried to play into midfield and it was cut out and gave Ipswich a chance to get forward. There's one or two sort of wrong decisions, disappointing decisions that were made in this first half, which gave Ipswich the opportunity to get back in the game. But when you've played for so long and your goalkeeper hasn't had too much to do, and you've got yourself into some really good areas in that final third, possibly on another night get a penalty when Dewsbury Hall looked like he got taken down by Cameron Burgess, but the referee decided that it wasn't. But you know what, to come here in the run that Leicester were in, to take a point, not many teams have come here. And there's only two that's come here, Leeds that have won, and Norwich the other week who got a point. Before that they'd won 8 on the spin here at Portman Road. Tough place to come and go away with anything. So I think you take the point, you move forward, and as I said after that Sheffield Wednesday disappointment where Sheffield Wednesday scored late to take the win away from Leicester, could be a massive point at the end of the season.
Yeah, let's talk about those decisions then that Ewan Roberts has just been referencing there. Leicester should have had a penalty, Jerry, shouldn't they, in that second half?
Yeah, it looks. We've just seen it on the replay. It looks like it's a penalty to me. Dewsbury Hall's running on there. Burgess can't get there. He comes in from the side. It's not a shoulder charge. And I've seen them given. I've seen them not given. I don't know. And Ewan's referee. You talk about big moments in a game of football. That can sway the game one way and the other, and that was a big moment in the game. And obviously, it didn't go Leicester's way. And you can talk about if buts and maybes, but if you get them right in a game, then verbally the game changes again in Leicester's favour. Do your switch come back from 2-0 down? Who knows? But the referee's got a job to do. I'm not saying he's had a good look at it. He's in a good position from as far as I can recollect. But obviously he's not given that. Another referee on the same day probably would have given it, might have given it, who knows. But that was a big moment in the game.
Yeah, I felt like I was trying to sort of imagine myself doing it. Then you get a little bit biased to the situation. In this case, for Leicester, or in times gone by, I would be in the defenders court because I'm thinking, no, I used to check runs like that and just ease them off the ball.
Would you have caught Kane and Dewsbury Hall?
That would have been nowhere near. No. But I like to think I might have seen it a little bit earlier than Russell did or whatever, but probably not. No, but there's a difference between barging someone off the ball and sort of shepherding them off the ball. and I don't think he was close enough to get to it. He had to, because the angle with which he was covering, Dewsbury Hall was. It's debatable whether Dewsbury Hall would have got to the ball first, but he was the favourite, I think. And then Russell's just taken him out. There, he hasn't just like leant on him and diverted him off the line of travel of the ball. He's just thought, well, I can't get to the ball. I'm going to have to take him out, and he's taken him out.
Let's put it another way. Forget about penalty. Is it a penalty? Is it a free kick? Anywhere else in the pitch, does the ref blow his whistle for a free kick?
It's a foul.
And the answer is yes. So why doesn't he blow his whistle there?
Yeah, not sure.
Because it's a free kick, and it's.
I think there was an element, a tiny element of not doubt, but something for the referee to consider. And then he thought, I'm not 1,000% sure. I'm not giving it. When he thinks deep down, he probably thinks I should have.
Yeah, judging it's. Sometimes you have a look on social media and you see the reactions are very, very similar from Leicester fans. They are saying they just can't understand how it wasn't given as a penalty. And yes, we're obviously going to look at it with a Leicester bias, but I think a neutral would probably agree with that.
I mean, they'd had a couple of sort of penalty appeals that were turned down. Dan, we haven't got a monitor here, so we could only see the incident live. But I didn't need to see it again. The Dewsbury Hall one I'm on about to think. I mean, it looked a clumsy challenge from Burgess. The only reason I can think that the referee hasn't given it is, has the ball, and the lads in the studio and will be able to tell me better, had the ball gone past Keenan Dewsbury Hall, which meant he might not have got a shot on target or a great chance to score. I don't know. I could only I've only seen it once, but it's a clumsy challenge from Cameron Burgess, in my opinion.
Could Ipswich also have been down to 10 men, Ewan? There was two instances in about 30 seconds where, was it Harness?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Every chance.
Well, Jerry
Chris pointed it out, didn't he? He was walking a tightrope. He'd picked up a yellow card, and on another day, the challenge that he puts in, minutes after he's picked up a yellow card, on another day he gets a yellow card for it, and there was no surprise really when Kieran McKenna sort of decided to take Harness off. A lucky boy not to have left the pitch early.
In a couple of instances, Ewan, wasn't it? He got the booking, which he pleaded his innocence about, and then he took Fatawu out, didn't he? And then about 30 seconds later, who was it who went past? Was it Cassidy? Cassidy got brought down by Morsey as well, but Harness was in there giving him a push and a shove as well when he'd gone past him, but he was certainly playing with fire.
Yeah.
Was that aimed at me?
Well, if you wanted to add any further comments,
you can interject, Ian, that's fine.
Do you know what? I can't quite remember the incident, in all honesty.
Well, in that case, don't worry about commenting further.
I remember the one on Cassidy, and that's when Chris sort of pointed out, he's got to be really careful. He's on a yellow card. But I think sometimes you get those decisions for you. You get them against you, and tonight, for some reason, they've gone against Leicester City.
Knowing Enzo Maresca, Jerry, he'll use that in the next few days, won't he? To tell his squad and use it as motivation.
Well, yeah, you have to, and you're more than likely not use it when he comes out to talk to the press or whatever about whether or not the penalty decision on Keenan, the second one. The first one, as I said, I don't think that was a penalty. The second one, I do think it was a penalty. I think it was a free kick. Whether he uses that, I don't know. But yeah, listen, Leicester created the better chances in the game, clear-cut chances, that is. They scored an unbelievable strike from Mavididi again. They could have very easily had a penalty. Patson Daka had a very good chance in that first half. So yeah, I think when you talk about the game in that way, compared to the chances or the half chances that Ipswich created, which apart from like the Connor Chaplin shot, which I think Hermansen had covered pretty easily. I think it was the old Cameras one where he palms it away, but
yeah,
I think he's safely got that one covered. So that's one shot where you're thinking, oh, right, okay, keeper's had to make a save. And Leicester have done okay tonight. You know, they've created enough chances to win the game, give the referee enough to think about in regards to a penalty which didn't go their way, and then obviously, you know, a couple of other bits and bobs where is it a second yellow card on one or two of those players? On another day, that goes Leicester's way. They cruise to victory.
Yeah. Listen, yeah, if they'd ended up with a 1-0 victory, but you know, in whatever manner, they'd be absolutely delighted, wouldn't you? And I think Maresca, I don't think he'll moan or grumble about anything, possible decisions, etc., things that could have gone their way. I think he'll be really pleased with the effort that his players have put in. Ultimately, over the last few games, really, you know, they've been picking up great results where expected, been highly impressive at times. Others, they've dug in and ground things out, and you saw both sides of the coin in that performance tonight. Really saw different qualities from Leicester. You also saw where they need to improve as well going forward, which they'll work on. But all in all, you know, throughout the course of certainly this first half, plus one game in this campaign, it's been pretty impressive stuff, hasn't it? And you know, they've set themselves up so nicely now, haven't they? And they're looking really healthy. Yeah,
Ewan, a word for the travelling Leicester fans this evening on a very late Boxing Day evening. They were fantastic. Their support was brilliant. They didn't deserve to see a 93rd minute equalising goal rather for the opposition.
There must have been about 3,000 Leicester fans made that long journey down the M1, A14. I do it very often, as you know, Dan, and so they'll be leaving the stadium with that as if they've lost the game because the late goal they conceded. But when they wake up tomorrow morning, they look at the league table, 14 points cleared of Leeds in fourth, 11 points cleared of Southampton in third. Go to Cardiff on Friday, who aren't in the best of forms in the Cardiff City Stadium. Top of the league, 24 games gone, 59 points. It's not too bad.
Yeah, they'll fancy themselves Friday.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see a few changes because everyone keeps saying, looking at the game, thinking, oh, he's going to rotate and mix it up. And he hasn't that much, really, has he? You know, one change here and another there. But by and large, it's been the same personnel. But I think it's going to be a big ask to travel down to Ipswich, performance, you know, game of that magnitude, if you like, in relative terms. And then, you know, travelling back late tonight. And then before you know it, down to Cardiff. Gonna have to mix it up a touch, I think.
Yeah, I think you see a few changes, and rightly so. James Justin, obviously, on the bench tonight, he could well make an appearance on Friday night amongst one or two others. Maybe Kelechi gets a chance to start.
Callum Doyle, maybe.
Callum Doyle, yeah, you know. So this is what I was talking about. You know, the more players come back, the more heartening that is for the manager and his staff because he's got a bigger squad of players to pick from. And it gives them the opportunity to rotate especially during this period of season.
Yeah, just the second draw as well of the season, which is crazy, really, considering we're 24 games in now.
Yeah, it's mad how it's gone, isn't it? But it's impressive stuff, really. I mean, I don't know how you account for it only being the second draw. It's not like Leicester go all or nothing, is it? It's sort of, you know, kamikaze football. It's it's pretty structured, whatever. The reason they don't have too many draws is because they normally
win the games,
outplay teams, isn't it? It's not like they're losing too many either, is it?
No, 3 defeats, 2 draws, 19 won in 24. It's been an incredible start to the season. Let's hope that continues again, of course, on Friday evening for that game against Cardiff. As Ewan rightly says, Cardiff struggling a little bit at home. It is an 8 o'clock kickoff. Is it? No, it's 7:45 kickoffs. That means we'll be on air at 6:45. So do join us for that. It's a game that is available for absolutely everybody to watch as well, of course. Then on Monday, there is, also known as New Year's Day, of course, the game with Huddersfield Town. So you can watch that one. Again, you can watch that one with us on Fox's Hub. There's also the podcast available with Harry Winks as well. You can get that wherever you listen to your podcasts, also wherever you watch them, either on YouTube or on Fox's Hub as well. But for tonight, though, big thank you, of course, to Ewan Roberts for his company down at Ipswich as ever. I hope you had a great day yesterday and enjoy the festivities, Ewan, in the next couple of days. Same goes for you too, of course. Thank you for your company this evening, and thank you everyone who's tuned in. Thanks again to those travelling Leicester fans. They were brilliant tonight on a really disappointing evening. Well, not really disappointing, just disappointing, I guess, conceding such a late equaliser, but the Fox is still well clear at the top of the championship. Good night.